welcome back to the rules of engagement. Before I jump into Reign vs. Innovation game number 3, let me remind you guys, if you're unsure what potential future career you might want to get, you're looking to get some more information on different job opportunities and educational opportunities that will then lead to job opportunities, of course, go ahead and check out fullsail.edu/MLG. Of course, Full Sail offers a lot of programs in the game design industry, video production, video design, game design, audio engineering, 3D animation. A lot of these cool programs, you go through their programs, you get the knowledge base you need to then get a job in the gaming designing industry, the esports industry, whatever type of job you want. There's a lot of them out there once you have the educational background. If you think you may be interested in this type of education, go ahead and check out what Full Sail has to offer. It's just one of many possibilities, of course. But going out to Reign vs. Innovation game number 3. A couple things I want to talk about in this game are going to be scouting gambles. How to make some little bit of minor risks in your scouting patterns that might pay off in a big way. Defending a 1-base Blink Stalker push. And also working with what you have. You know, sometimes the way the game goes, you have a unit composition that isn't one that you normally go for. You're not sure what to do with it, but a couple things to change your play to use that composition. So we're going to jump in this game at the 3:30 mark. And we take a look at this from Innovation's point of view. Of course, it's up 2-0 at this point. One thing to note, by the way, Akalon Waste is a map that Blink Stalker off 1 base is a very common build as a 4-note. So this is part of what makes Innovation decide to take a really cool scouting gamble. So he sees where everything is. He sees the second pylon. This is the most important part about the scouting gamble. He knows where this pylon is, right? And so take a look at Reign's vision, right? He knows the pylon will see the SCV leaving the base. If a Protoss doesn't see the SCV leaving the base, they'll check all around for the SCV. But he knows the pylon saw leaving the base. Of course, he went right back up on the other side of the ramp out of vision after he got out of pylon range. So a really cool scouting trick by his part. Also knowing that if your opponent is potentially going for a Blink Stalker push, or especially the way Reign's been playing lately, he likes to push his first Stalker up very aggressively. He checks all around for that sneaky SCV, but it's really back in the base. And this is a really cool gamble because when you hide an SCV like this, right, it's a low-risk gamble. Because the worst happens is you lose that SCV and you lose the great scouting opportunity. But potentially, it could win you the game. So, of course, he just got in the base and he saw the fact there was 3 gateways. Right? He didn't see the Twilight Council, but seeing 3 gateways probably means it's a Blink Stalker attack. At the time, you're obviously too late to be just some crazy early gateway rush. It's too late for that. So it's probably some Blink Stalker play. He's going ahead looking for a proxy pylon early on. Also maybe thinking it could be a proxy Stargate play. Usually you wouldn't get a second or third gateways quite as fast with that play, but you know, go ahead and check it out because it could be a proxy Stargate Void or all in which case you would have those at that time. So he's going around checking for that information. Now, the next thing that's going to happen is, at some point, we'll take a look at this from Innovation's point of view again, he strongly suspects a Blink Stalker attack. Now, he's not sure of it, so he's not doing the most optimal defense. If he knew it was Blink Stalkers, he wouldn't have got the mine, he would have gone straight for super fast siege tanks. As it is, though, he's going for the Widow Mine drop that he was planning to do anyway because he's not 100% sure what's going on. Now, of course, he sees the Mothership Core. He sees 3 Stalkers, no Nexus. Now he knows exactly what's going on. He's like, oh, okay. You're doing a Blink Stalker attack. So I'm still going to try to do what I can with this dropship. We'll see what it can do. Maybe it can get in there and get that Widow Mine down. Gonna get an additional probe kill or something. It's not too bad. It's nice and annoying. But once you know it's Widow Mines, to defend against Blink Stalker, very important to get siege. Well, you can defend against without siege tanks, but if you have a factory already because you open with a tech opening, siege tanks are the best response to the Blink Stalker build if you already have the factory. Or if you scout it so super early, you can build a factory and get it up in time to stop the attack. And the reason why siege tanks are so great is because they have a long range, right? The idea of Blink Stalkers is that they can poke around your base, right? And they'll poke, run away, they'll lose some shields, they'll keep dipping in and out, doing damage and not taking any losses. The siege tank both does a lot of damage every single time it shoots, and it has a long range. So it's very difficult for the Stalkers to really navigate siege tank fire without taking a lot of damage. Now, what's very important, what really comes down to when using siege tank, is the siege tank positioning. Your second siege tank, you can risk trading that with Stalkers. The first siege tank, though, you always want to have at least one siege tank around to defend the important parts of your base, your production, and your SCV count. Second siege tank can be a little further out. Say, okay, you can blink on top of me and kill it. But what's the key thing? This is what really determines the game. Is how many stalkers die when this siege tank dies. Your second one that you eventually want to push out, not just defend a small area, right? So as you're doing so, your second siege tank may be exposed. A lot of times, you know what? If you want to wait for your third siege tank to expose a siege tank, that's actually probably safer. But you know, Innovation thinks he can do with his second one. He wants to probably push the game a little bit faster. So when he exposes the siege tank, the Protoss player, to continue the blink stalker harass, he has to kill this tank. He can't get in and do anything until this frontal tank's dead. So how many stalkers is he going to lose to kill it? That's usually what determines how effective the blink stalker rush and ultimately determines the game in many cases. So you can see here, this tank makes sure it's in range of any of these stalkers that can shoot that tank. That's insanely important. Other thing that's important is the Marines are all right around the tank, so no matter where the stalkers blink, those Marines can shoot any stalker that is shooting the siege tank. Those two things are extremely important. And why those are so important is if you don't do them, go ahead and watch Bad Cop vs. Wansing from yesterday's WCS qualifier match. And you can see what happens if you don't always protect your tanks so acutely. They get taken down and the stalker count's still high and it can really collapse. So you want to find that game, youtube.com/official MLGSC2. All of our content is up there. But that was one of the casted games from yesterday from the qualifier that took place over the weekend. Wansing really tore apart Back Up, even though we had the same things Innovation does here. Just because Back Up wasn't quite as precise as Innovation is with his placement of everything, right? And now, so look at what's happened. Yes, the tank's gone, but there's only 7 stalkers left, and they're very damaged. If we look at units lost, it's even. Even units lost is amazing win for Terran because, remember, Protoss doesn't have an expansion. Terran has 2 mules and a lot of SCVs, right? I mean, word count's probably even, or you know, it's usually roughly even during his builds. But yeah, he has double orbitals, right? So if you trade evenly with a guy going blink stalkers, that's a win for you, and that's exactly what Innovation's be able to do. And of course, going forward, he's going to be way ahead, right? As soon as he gets another tank, he can start pushing his back, especially when he gets some medevac field Marines. You know, Rain's trying to be as annoying as he can, but as more and more tanks come out, they can really start to push those stalkers back. So the attack is pretty much over. He's trying to be annoying, but he can't really get in there. Tanks are zoning his stalkers out. Can't really do anything more than being annoying going forward. Now, the game's pretty much over, but there's still one last tiny thing, and that's, can Innovation play a decent game with his competition? Marine tank. Innovation loves doing multi-prong drops, a lot of really cool drop play. But, you know, tanks aren't ideally suited for drop play. So Innovation's going to have to mix up a style. He's going to have to work with what he's got. So if you have Marines and tanks, even if you love doing drop play normally, one thing to note is Marines and tanks are great, but they're not mobile. If you're not going to be mobile anyway because, well, Marines are, but tanks aren't. If you're not going to be mobile anyway because you have tanks, go ahead and use bunkers as part of your army, right? Because, yes, bunkers are immobile, but you're already immobile because you're using siege tanks. Build the bunkers to make your push basically unstoppable. And then from here, of course, we'll just exit. You can see here, bunkers, tanks, and some Marines in front of him. There's nothing Ray can do to stop this attack. He's going to try to summon his small paltry forces of Immortals and Zealots and whatnot. Even with the Photon Overcharge, too much Terran. And of course, Rain's force out the game. So, really cool there. A couple things I want to point out before I close this segment. As a Terran player, you can hide a scout in SCV. At the very top level, it's not too common because it rarely works. Innovation did it in this case because he noticed Rain's scouting patterns with his first stalkers. He noticed that pylon there when noticed the SCV leaving the base, so he said, you know what? I'll take the small risk. But on your latter games, it's really not a risk. The odds of your opponent finding it isn't very big, and even if they do find that hidden SCV, of course, you just lose an SCV. It's not the biggest deal. So go ahead, take that scouting risk, and then against blink stalkers, be very patient. Wait for siege tanks and slowly grow the amount of control you have until you can encompass your entire main, and then until you can encompass your natural. Siege tanks are really your best friend dealing with those blink stalker attacks. So this wraps up the analysis of Innovation vs. Rain game number 3. Take a short break and be right back with the Q&A.